Men don't lose women because they chose wrong. They lose them because they chose right, and then spent years proving they didn't deserve the choice. I sit across from men who describe the same type of woman: patient, emotionally stable, didn't pressure them about timelines, didn't create drama, didn't demand constant reassurance. The kind of woman who made the relationship feel easy. Too easy, apparently, because that's when the self sabotage starts. These men, successful, intelligent, financially stable, they meet a woman who checks every box. She's supportive without being needy, feminine without performing it, loyal in ways they've never experienced before. And their first instinct isn't gratitude, it's suspicion, or worse, it's boredom. They start pulling back. Not dramatically, just enough to create distance. They stop initiating. They become vague about the future. When she asks about commitment, they suddenly need more time, more space, more certainty about something they can't quite name. And she gives it to them. Because that's what high-value women do. They don't chase. They don't pressure. They trust that if a man wants them, he'll show it. But here's what happens instead. While she's being patient, he's telling himself he needs to explore his options. He's not ready to settle down. Marriage feels restrictive. He needs to be sure. And somehow, being sure requires him to see what else is out there, even though he already knows nothing out there compares to what he has. This is where it gets predictable. He starts investing in the wrong women. Women who demand more and offer less. Women who create chaos he mistakes for passion. Women who keep him guessing, which he confuses with genuine interest. He pours money into impressing them, time into chasing them, energy into decoding their mixed signals. And the whole time, the high-value woman, the one who was actually good for him, is watching this happen. She's not stupid. She sees the shift. She notices when his attention fragments, when his excuses multiply, when he's suddenly too busy to commit but never too busy to keep her on standby. And this is the part men don't anticipate. She's already making calculations. She's not reacting emotionally. She's not crying or confronting or demanding explanations. She's observing. She's noting patterns. She's determining whether this is temporary confusion or permanent character. And while he thinks he's buying himself time, she's using that same time to emotionally detach. Let me describe what this looks like in practice. A man will come to me and say he was with someone for 3 years, maybe 4, long enough that marriage was the logical next step. She never pressured him about it, never issued ultimatums, just existed as this stable, supportive presence in his life. And then something shifted. Maybe she brought up the future one too many times. Maybe his friends started getting married and it triggered something. Maybe he just panicked at the idea of permanence. So he created distance. He told her he needed space to figure things out. He suggested taking a break. He stopped being emotionally available while still expecting her to remain physically present. And she agreed, because she's not the type to beg. But here's what he didn't realize was happening during that space. She wasn't waiting for him to come back. She was deciding whether she wanted him to. Men think women are passive during separation, that they're sitting around hoping things work out. But high-value women don't operate that way. When you ask for space, they give it to you, and then they use it to see their life without you in it. They notice how much lighter they feel without the uncertainty, how much easier it is to make plans without checking someone else's vague availability, how peaceful it becomes when they're not trying to decode mixed signals or excuse inconsistent behavior. And by the time he's ready to come back, because he always thinks he can come back, she's already realigned her future without him in it. This is the moment men completely misread. They think the break was just a pause, a temporary reset. They assume she'll be relieved when he returns, grateful even. After all, he's had time to think. He's ready now. He knows what he wants. But she's not relieved. She's resolved. Because while he was out there confirming that no one compares to her, she was confirming that she doesn't need someone who requires her absence to recognize her value. Now here's where the real damage happens, the negotiation phase. He comes back with promises. He's ready to commit now, ready to set timelines, ready to be the partner he should have been from the start. He lists everything he's willing to change, everything he's willing to do differently, and she listens, but she's not evaluating his promises. She's watching him scramble, and every word he says confirms what she already concluded, that he was capable of this the entire time, that he had the capacity to be decisive, to be present, to prioritize her. He just chose not to, not until she was gone. And that distinction between what he could do and what he chose to do is permanent. This is what men don't grasp about high-value women. They don't respond to negotiated commitment. They don't want to be the reason a man finally grows up. They don't want to leave in order to be valued. When a man only offers certainty after uncertainty becomes costly, it doesn't feel like growth. It feels like strategy. And they're not interested in being someone's strategic choice. I've seen men offer everything at this stage: rings, timelines, detailed plans for the future. Some even quit bad habits they've had for years: drinking, gambling, whatever vice was supposedly holding them back. And none of it works. Because the issue isn't what he's offering now. The issue is why he didn't offer it before. She needed him to be decisive 2 years ago. She needed him to prioritize her when she was still emotionally invested. She needed him to recognize her value while she was present, not after she'd already started imagining her life without him. And he didn't. Because he didn't have to. She was patient. She was understanding. She wasn't going anywhere. Except she was. She was going somewhere the entire time. She just wasn't announcing it. Here's the other pattern I see constantly. While men are wasting time on high-value women they're not ready for, they're investing heavily in low-value women they should avoid. These are the women who demand constant attention, who create drama to test his investment, who keep other men in rotation while claiming it's platonic. He's just a friend guy who's been around for 6 years and definitely isn't just a friend. And instead of recognizing these patterns as red flags, men read them as challenges. They think if they invest enough time, enough money, enough emotional labor, they'll win her over. They'll be the exception. But they're not the exception. They're the resource. I've watched this specific dynamic play out dozens of times. A man will describe a woman in his life who's always vague about her availability, who posts photos with male friends constantly, who talks about her close guy friends with a frequency that should raise questions. And when he expresses concern, she frames it as insecurity, as jealousy, as a trust issue he needs to work on, so he works on it. He convinces himself that his discomfort is irrational, that mature relationships include opposite-sex friendships, that if he were more secure, he wouldn't be bothered by the fact that she's consistently prioritizing time with men who are definitely interested in more than friendship. And while he's performing emotional growth to accept a situation that shouldn't be acceptable, he's spending money. He's buying her things to prove his value. He's taking her places to demonstrate his worth. He's investing in someone who's keeping him in rotation while she decides if something better comes along. Meanwhile, the woman who is actually loyal, actually supportive, actually good for him, she's gone, and she's not coming back. Because here's what men get wrong about women and timing. They think women leave impulsively, that they wake up one day and decide it's over. But that's not how it works. Women leave after months of internal processing. They leave after testing whether the relationship can survive in its current form. They leave after concluding that waiting for change is less productive than accepting reality. By the time a woman walks away, she's already grieved the relationship. She's already imagined the future without you. She's already emotionally moved on. So when men try to negotiate after the fact, they're not negotiating with someone who's conflicted. They're negotiating with someone who's certain. And certainty doesn't negotiate. The men who come to me at this stage always describe the same desperation. They'll promise to change everything. They'll commit to therapy. They'll set wedding dates. They'll eliminate every behavior she ever mentioned bothered her. They'll become unrecognizable versions of themselves if it means getting her back. And what they don't realize is that the transformation itself is the problem. She's watching a man remake himself under duress, and it only confirms what she already knew, that he had this capacity all along, that he could have been emotionally available, communicatively consistent, and relationally decisive at any point. He just chose not to be. Not until the consequence of that choice became unbearable. That's not love responding to love. That's loss aversion responding to scarcity. And women can tell the difference. I watch men realize this in real time. They describe women who were perfect for them, who made their lives better, who would have stayed if they'd just been ready earlier. And now those women are building lives that don't include them. And the men are sitting across from me, listing everything they would do differently, as if regret has retroactive power. But it doesn't. The version of him that's ready to commit now, she needed that version when she was still emotionally available. And he wasn't that version when it mattered, because maturity arrived too late to be useful. So the high-value woman moves on. And the man who wasn't ready when it counted spends years comparing everyone else to the standard she set. That comparison never ends well.